Everybody, thank you all for coming. We really appreciate the show of support here for ACM Cloud. Since we're a new initiative, Daniel's going to be posting the link to the slides in the Discord right now. If you want to follow along on your video, feel free to do that. We're going to try to record all of our workshop reports. So just kind of bear with us with that.
Okay. So now
yeah, sorry for the trouble with the opening up the room. We don't anticipate that happening in the future. But yeah, so without further ado, my name is Satya. I am currently a third year here studying computer science and engineering. And
I'm Daniel. I'm also a third year studying computer science.
Alrighty, cool. So yeah, we basically just introduced ourselves. So let's quickly go over an overview of what we're going to be doing this meeting. So we're going to start by talking about what our initiative actually is. And then we're going to go into what ACM Cloud essentially is going to entail. And then that kind of leads into our product overview and our plan for the workshop series going forward into the quarter. And then we will be moving into a little demo and setting up your guys' environments so that you can work on the project throughout the quarter. And then we're going to have a little game in there. So any questions on that before we move on? Okay, awesome. So we kind of did a little bit of this during the opening kind of announcement. But yeah, obviously we have a bunch of company logos here. And the question that I want to kind of pose to you guys is, if you had to start your own company, how would you describe it as working? What are the things that you would need to consider as you're creating the company? So for example, I'm just going to pick Slack here because it's somewhat common. If I wanted to create my own competitor to Slack, what do you guys think would be some of the cost considerations that I have?
Employees.
Yeah, exactly. And you pay salaries. Yep, exactly. You have to pay for your hardware. Those are the main ones. Can anyone think of anything else?
Electricity.
Yep, yeah, exactly. You repeat that one more time?
Office.
Yeah, exactly. You have to pay for the physical property that your employees are going to be working in and your hardware is going to sit in. Think about if I've had my company in America and I want to share it with the world. What would I need to do? Yeah, marketing, that's important. What if somebody in Europe wanted to access my software? How would they do that? We would probably need to expand either our physical presence there or pay some sort of third party to run our software there so that people can access it very quickly. All right, so that kind of leads into our sources of operating costs here. So as most of you guys got most of the important ones, but you actually have to pay for the physical hardware, physical location, so the property, as well as you have to account for any country-specific regulations. So what that means is, like, if I want to run something in America, that may entail different like guidelines than running some sort of software in Europe. And then we obviously have to pay for the physical hardware, right? So that means power and technicians to maintain it, that kind of thing. And let's think about if we want to scale or if we need to do some sort of maintenance, right? If we only have one data center that's like running our software, and we need to do some sort of repairs, that means our service is going to be completely offline for the duration of those repairs, right? So that's very bad. We're going to lose customers. And then if we want to scale up, we have to kind of plan ahead of time, go scout out the property, maybe go through a couple of months of actually getting into some sort of rental or a purchasing deal of that property. We have to kind of allocate resources for the actual hardware that's going to get there, give time for it to ship, you have to set it up, right? So it's a very laborious process and not super quick. Yeah, so I kind of mentioned some of these. Right, it's inefficient reliably. So if you have to do some sort of maintenance, that means part of your infrastructure is going to be down, and if your infrastructure is small, that's really bad. It's inefficient for scalability because you have to plan ahead of time. And then low availability essentially just refers to the fact that if I want to move to another country, I have to kind of plan ahead of time and deal with the logistics and legal ramifications of that. And the big one here is large upfront costs. So if I'm like just a random college kid, right, and I want to start my own business, like a software company, it's very hard to do that, right? Because I can't afford a property, let alone the hardware, let alone the technicians, that kind of thing, right? So very challenging. Do you want to take this?
Gotcha. So the solution to this is to use a cloud computing platform, and basically we're outsourcing all the upfront costs, like the space, the physical servers, the electricity, even water in some states where it's really expensive, and we're just sending out those costs to AWS, GCP, or Azure, or if in case if you're using like a SaaS product, maybe Adobe. And they deal with all of that. They're much larger, so they can have much more reliability on their resource usage and scalability, just from economies of scale. And then we can simplify things by just interfacing with their platform and just make our lives a lot easier. We don't have to consider a lot of the physical resource constraints because that's all virtualized for us by these third-party platforms. And so as we were discussing with the problems of the on-premise model, cloud computing platforms provide much more flexibility. So we only pay for the resources that we use, and hardware reliability is pretty much guaranteed. So a big company like AWS can spend billions of dollars on very talented engineers to deal with all of these synchronization problems and fault tolerance and backups and all that stuff, so that we can make sure our data is safe and secure. And in addition, as an extension of that, we also have high availability, so we can make sure that no matter how much our resource demand spikes, we'll have the capability to serve all of our customers so that we can provide them a much better experience. And if you ever use an AWS product, you have something called like auto scaling, where your resource constraints can scale automatically, and that's kind of what this means by scalable within minutes, as opposed to like if you had a physical on-premise model, where let's say you're just building out servers, that takes months, and sometimes you have to change the physical size of the building in case you run out of space, right? So that's the advantage there. And so if we look at how big the cloud computing market is, we see there's a lot of multi-cloud companies. So some of them use like hybrid cloud, public or private cloud. They use many different types of these approaches. So it's not just like a one-size-fits-all in many cases. But we do have some of them that just use one approach to cloud computing. And in addition, if we look at the market size of the cloud computing industry, it's only been growing. It was 52.8 billion in 2017. Now it's 110 billion in 2022, and we see the breakdown. SaaS is the most common, where it's like just the product, you just interact with the product from like a customer perspective, whereas platform as a service is mainly business facing, and infrastructure is even more business facing, but it refers more to like providing the physical resources, and you build out all your software infrastructure on top of the like servers, databases, things like that. And so, what about the developers here? Well, with cloud computing, it's much easier to gain a wider breadth of knowledge, right? You do not have to focus on all the tiny details. You can focus more on the big picture architecture to build out your entire system architecture. And you can also design code for the cloud much easier, since all this complexity is wrapped inside a nice, easy-to-use interfaces. Right, so if you ever use like AWS or GCP and you look up a tutorial on how to use that, it's not really that hard because it's specifically designed to be easy for developers to use. And in addition, all these platforms usually have some sort of debugging or like CI/CD system, so that you can identify errors much more easily than you would as a developer working on a cloud computing platform from scratch.
Okay. All right. So before we move on, any questions on that kind of high level overview of what cloud computing is? Good. All right. Awesome. So yeah, we're going to kind of transition towards what we're actually going to be doing kind of in that scope of cloud computing. So yeah, ACM Cloud, this is our mission statement here. Basically, we're just committed to providing resources to folks to build a strong intuition of like the architectural foundations of cloud, such that they can actually create software to be deployed in cloud efficiently, and the software should run also run efficiently. So we mentioned this at GM, but our plan for this quarter is to kind of do a workshop series in tandem with the project series. So quickly on the workshops, those are all the topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to do a little intro next week, and then talk about distributed architectures, talk about distributed processes, naming and communication, coordination and consistency, and then fault tolerance and security at the end. Alrighty, and then actually then.
Alright. Yes, so our plan project we have is a distributed file system. You have links to the project spec and a sample project repo. However, I cannot reiterate this enough. Like this spec is not like you have in the spec you have in your classes. This is just like the specifications that kind of explain the process I went through for this project, for this sample project repo. So all of these are basically just optional. Like you can follow it if you want or deviate. It's really up to you. In fact, you don't have to make a distributed file system. You can pretty much do whatever you want. We're just here to provide you with resources and provide an environment where you can collaborate with other people to work on a cool, cloud computing project. But yeah, it roughly follows week by week with these topics. So if you want like a more structure, you're kind of new to distributed systems, you can just follow this. Otherwise, if you want to go out and do your own project, maybe you've seen Apache Kafka or something, a really cool open source project, and you want to build one of those from scratch, you can do that. Totally up to you. Right, but all this is here if you need it.
Alrighty, so kind of on that subject, we're planning to offer a project proposal. So if you want to do something completely different, basically we're gonna have a form next slide. I think it's one more slide.
Right now it's like in back. Yes, right
there we go. Yep. So basically this is on the slides. So be sure to fill this out if you're interested in kind of doing a project with us, or if you have a project idea. We're going to share the link in the Discord as well afterwards. But yeah, this will basically give you the ability to kind of specify what you'd want to do in your project, or if you kind of want to form a team with other people here for kind of following the project that we've already put forth.
And then the next week you can do a little pitch at the end of the workshop, and then if people are also interested in your project idea, you can just form a team with them and then work on that throughout the rest of the quarter.
All right, cool. We're gonna go back to the process.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to quickly introduce the project that we do have planned. So yeah, I guess let me kind of pose this as a question to you guys to make this a little bit more interactive. So does anyone know what a file system is? You can just blurt it out if you know. I mean, you all have it on your computer, so hopefully you've interacted with it at least. Sorry, say again? Yeah, exactly. Essentially, it's some sort of tool that structures different files such that you can kind of organize it. So what might be a key feature in a file system that you have on your own laptop? That good? Different folders. Yeah, exactly. It's hierarchical. So you. One more. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so great. Right. So we can see here generally a file structure will be structured in like a tree kind of structure where you have different folders and subfolders, and then at the end you kind of have files. Other considerations that we want to consider are permissioning. So maybe somebody can have access to particular folders, but not to other folders. And then you also want to be mindful of edge cases like duplicate file names, maybe like a folder having the same name as a file, that kind of thing. So these are all kind of things that you're going to need to consider if you kind of follow more closely with the project that we have proposed. And then another thing is we want to consider how we're actually going to efficiently kind of store the hierarchy in our file structure, right? Because we need to keep track of where each folder is and where the underlying files are. Okay, so this kind of network file system is an existing file structure that more or less closely aligns with the project that we proposed. So quick overview of what that is. Basically, it offers transparent access to files. So what I mean by that is, let's just say I have my own server, my own computer, and I want to access files on some sort of server, right? The NFS system basically allows us to access those files as if they were on our own computer. So it kind of hides the fact that the files are on a remote server, and I can kind of view all the files on my own kind of client. And that's kind of what's happening in this picture.
And if you guys want to know, have an example of this, if you ever worked in a large soulless corporation, you might have heard of something called, Windows file shares, which is basically like if you click on the network tab in your explorer.exe, you can access basically all the different like network file systems of your corporation, and you click on that, and it basically acts the same as like interacting with files on your local system. And so, this thing is pretty much meant to, abstract the physical resources and let you interact with this data as if, it was all local on your single machine.
Alrighty, so the actual processing project that we're going to be doing is similar to the NFS system, but not identical. So essentially, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be running different kind of nodes as if they were their own computer using Docker. So the specific nodes that we're going to need are a client node, a server node, and at least one worker node. Yeah, we're going to kind of go through setting up Docker in a second, but there's a set of guide links there if you are kind of doing this afterwards. And then basically, we're going to be giving you like a skeleton code in a repository that you can use to start off of and kind of add your own based off deliverables that we have weekly. And if you want to kind of do your own thing, that's totally fine as well. And then Daniel and I are also going to be here to support you when you're debugging and adding new features, that kind of thing. So yeah, you guys though are going to have to make sure you kind of come to the weekly workshop series to kind of understand the material and then actually add those features to your project. We're also thinking about having an additional kind of work session in the week. So we're probably going to send out a poll later on to see when works best for that. If you guys need extra time to kind of add those features.
All right, and this is the link. So, just click on that and submit your proposal if you're interested in working on your own thing. Now we're gonna have a demo.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just before we get into this though, how many of you don't have Docker installed? Okay, so yeah, what you're gonna want to do is let me see. Yeah, go to docker.com, I believe, or just look up Docker desktop download. And then download the relevant, you should just be able to download like an exe file from their site. And if anyone's having trouble with that, just raise your hand and we can help with.
Would you have a setup slide?
Yes, I do. It is right here. Do you want to drop it in the you want me to do it? Yeah. Announcements.
Sachin dropped it in the announcements channel for.
Okay. Talk to us after. Just sit tight and talk to us after. Yeah, so we just shared the link to the Docker setup guide here. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm probably gonna kind of show you how it works. And then the idea would be for you to kind of follow along with this and then reach out in the help channel or directly to Daniel and I if you have any questions afterwards. If you're running it on Windows, you're going to have to enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. It's pretty easy to do. You just run like 2 commands. So that's all in this document here. So just make sure you kind of look at this. Do you want to just go ahead or do you want to wait? I mean, we have time. Do you want to? Okay. Okay.
We have this room from like 6 to 8. Right?
Yeah.
Oh crap! Yeah. How
Oh,
good
yeah.
is the Wi-Fi here? Yeah. We do have like already installed. Already got all guys off the waiting.
It's like
That's like 50-50. Yeah, we'll wait a little bit. Until you guys start downloading that or like the editor.
Like, I saw a Docker website and it said download for Mac, so I didn't like download.
Yeah, that's fine. Is it so you click this one?
Yeah, it's down.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it?
Oh, why? Yeah, I think actually, why do you think? Why do you think so? Why do you think? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What's my
So,
not sure.
I just downloaded it. We need to update our
Oh, yeah.
It's like Software update.
So you have Apple software. Yeah. Then yeah, you're gonna have to just run that command in some sort of terminal. So I don't have a Mac, so I'm not 100% familiar with these.
What is that?
Yeah, let me do some problem. Yeah, I think it should be in that document. Let me open it. Yeah, just follow that guide there. Just like a couple commands as well.
That's my biggest goal. Let's not do games. Chat.
Okay, I'm just gonna resume the one. I think I forgot to do before, but okay. So yeah, well, the first thing that we're gonna need to do here is clone the repository here that I have. So this repository has the code for that calculator. Let's quickly take a look at it. So yeah, if we look at the repository, we can see it's divided into two folders here: a client folder and a server folder, and then there's like a README file. And then looking at the contents of the README file, we have this same kind of diagram here, and then I have some steps for actually running it. If you want to run it anyway. So let's quickly go ahead and clone this. So where put this? Okay, hold on. All right, you're gonna also need a text editor of some kind. I recommend Visual Studio Code, not my 131, but Visual Studio Code is great. If you're comfortable with a different text editor, though, feel free to use that. But okay, so right now I'm gonna close. Has everybody used Git? Has anyone not used Git before? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm essentially just gonna clone it somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly open it into some sort of folder. Where are we gonna go? Just create a new folder. Actually, I have a cloud folder. Okay. I have demo. Okay, so yeah, I'm opening up a new folder and then opening the terminal, and then now I'm gonna actually clone the repository. Let's give it a second. So I just clone. Oh, clone. Okay, so now I have the files locally. Let's quickly take a look at them. Does anyone have any questions up till now, though? Is everyone following? Okay, great. So yeah, let's take a look at the client itself. So we have this app.py file, which is basically handling the bulk of the logic for our client. So what we can see is we're basically hard coding the A and B values in our client. And then it is we have our kind of client stub here for adding and subtracting. So if we look at what this is really doing, we can see it's making some sort of request. The exact syntax isn't too important so long as you can kind of follow the logic. It's making some sort of request to an IP address at this port 5000. It's basically making an add call with these arguments. And then here for subtraction, it's identical except that it's making a subtraction call. So yeah, these two functions are our client stub, like in that diagram. And then yeah, at the bottom here, it's just saying if we're starting this program, post it at 50/50. Does that kind of make sense to everyone at a high level? Okay, cool. So then let's quickly look at the server. So the server has similar logic. Here it's basically saying if I'm getting a request at some sort of operation with two parameters, check what the operation is, and then let's see, basically call the server stub here for that operation. So in the case of add, it's calling the add function. In the case of subtract, it's calling the subtract. And then if we look at the implementation here, not too tricky, right? We're just adding and subtracting. And then at the bottom, we're saying if we're running this hosted at 5,000. Okay, any questions on the code there, just like at a high level? So you're basically going to be writing something somewhat similar to this. We generally encourage folks to use Python, but they can use whatever language they want. But we're using Python, right? We'll
Yeah,
see.
the example in Python, and in here you see that the communication between client and server is using HTTP. That's not necessarily the case in many applications. For example, you could use like a REST API, which is built on top of HTTP. So you're sending JSON data in the HTTP body as a way to encode your function parameters for the data you want to collect. There's also GraphQL or gRPC. All of these are basically just the standards for how to communicate your function parameters. So yeah, you can. I think in the project you can also choose if you want to like design one from scratch. But the one in that I implemented is just a basic byte encoding that only supports like 4 operations. So yeah.
Alrighty. So yeah, let's go ahead and actually run this. Give me a second here. So I'm just gonna take a picture of this. I have on my phone. The steps. Okay. So yeah, what we're gonna need to do is now that we have the code, we need to build some sort of image of it to run that image as its own kind of virtual machine. So we're gonna head over to the code here, and then let's head over to the server folder. So to do that, I'm just changing directory to server. Oop, hold on. I think it's CLS. Okay, there we go. Wrong folder. There we go. Okay, so now you can see I've changed to the server. Is it a little small? I can zoom in if it's small. Okay, so yeah, I'm in the server folder now. So I'm going to go ahead and build the Docker image. So again, this is just kind of containerized, or packaging everything together such that it can run as a virtual machine. So the command for that is docker build -t, and then whatever the name that you want is. So I'm going to go with calc server, and then which folder to actually build. So that's just a dot current directory. I may need to start Docker. So yeah, because I wasn't running Docker, it gave me an issue. I'm gonna basically just start running Docker, which after you have it downloaded, all you need to do is just click on Docker desktop.
You don't have to necessarily download Docker desktop, though. You can also just like start the service from your command line too. That's also an option.
Yep. Oh my God. Okay, it's gonna ask me to log in again. Hold on.
This is why GUI is inferior.
Okay, proceed. Hold on. Alrighty, there we go. Where's the server folder? It's where did I save it? You mean? It's in the GitHub repository, just at the highest level.
Just CD into this run the
Correct. Yep. Okay, so now I'm just gonna run that build command one more time, and there we go. We can see it's built. Okay, so any questions on what's happening so far? Or like why we're doing it? Okay, so let's give that a second. And then once this is done, we're gonna run this image. Okay, great. So to run it, we just run the command docker run. And then we have to specify a port mapping. So I'm going to go with -p here. And then I'm just going to map port 5000 to 5000. And then we have to specify the name of the image, which is calc server. Oops, server. Okay. Make sure there's not 2 spaces there. Okay, hold on. So it's giving me an issue here. Let's try to see.
To install the PIP.
I believe it should be in the Docker file to do so. Slash helpers. Yeah. Okay. Do I need to? Yeah. Let me add it here. URL code. Rebuild. So it looks like I'm missing some sort of dependency. So we're basically going to try to troubleshoot that. My, it's one that I've run previously. Okay, hold on.
My build scripts are very important. You gotta like test it out so this doesn't happen. But
This one here. Worst case, I can just run it locally, but let's see. I don't think there's any difference with this though. That's what I was doing. Okay. I was running it just with Docker because remember we said we wanted to. Okay. I can try building it again. Yeah, it should. It's probably just gonna do the same, right? Let me try that. Server.
No, that one the target is.
okay. From what the heck is works on URL?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I can try to add this to the requirements. Let's see.
All of these.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's all work to do.
Capital W. Okay.
Never seen this.
If you're getting like this kind of error, I found the Stack Overflow post. It seems like you should add this as like a dependency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God.
Interview build. It's like it's like
Like,
Docker container, like remove or whatever.
and then the name. Docker image.
Oh wait,
I think you got.
is that the one?
I don't think so.
Jealous. Okay, which one is it?
This one here.
1 gigabyte. Okay.
What the hell?
Yeah, wait. Oh my God. Group dash F. Alright.
Okay.
Cool.
So build it again. Okay.
What?
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Python. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you put there?
Like here, you just edit it to like using this, and then you rebuild it here and then
Okay, I mean that's what I thought I did though. Hold
Oh,
on.
you did, okay.
Yeah, this one here.
Oh, we have to specify a version.
Okay, I'm pretty sure she grabbed the latest one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then that should work.
Okay.
Rebuild
Good
it.
shot.
It works on my machine.
Sorry.
Hopefully Docker's consistent.
Like rebuild,
Yeah.
but unless I have.
Okay.
I think it's dash build dash T dash.
Just build dash T dash F.
I think you removed it, so it should work.
Okay. That'll be fine.
It's a solid work.
Mhm.
Docker runs.
That's a good sign, right?
Yeah, it's not crashing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, everybody. So it looks like we're missing some sort of dependency since I last ran it. It's really my fault. So I will get those changes out though later tonight. So you should all be able to run it afterwards. The specific line that we had to add was this one up here. Apparently, there's some sort of additional dependency with our code here that requires it. Yeah, so sorry about that. But essentially, if you run that run command, what you'll see down here in the terminal is just what you would see if you were to run that app.py file with Python locally. Namely, you're seeing that it's running on port 5000. Okay. So now that we have our server running, let's get our client running, and hopefully we don't run into any dependency issues there. So I'm going to create a new terminal. So I'm going to leave this running though. And then I'm going to navigate to the client directory. Once it loads, there we go. CD client, and then I am going to build the client image. So see, let's see, what do I call it? Calc client, and then I'm specifying the directory. This is the current one, so dot. Yeah, if you need the specific dependency, we can kind of show you what that is again. Does anyone need it? You need it? Okay. I can drop it in the Discord, I guess. I will commit the change though. So it should be out. So I can just commit it right now. Dependency. And see what. Okay, change has been pushed out. Oh, it will be. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that, but the client is building here. Let's go ahead and try running it. Okay, so what I'm doing down here is I'm basically saying run the client and map the expected port 5050 to our kind of our local host 5050. Okay, run this. Okay, so we need to add the same dependency. So do that. Okay. Calc client. So I'm removing the Docker image that we just previously built. And then now I'm going to, since I added the dependency, and I'm going to rebuild that image. Now we should grab the additional dependency. And I'll commit that change as well right now. Dependency. Okay, great. So that's built. So I'm going to try running it. Okay, great. So now we can see our client is running at 5050. Okay, so now we eventually have our client and our server running, assuming we work past that dependency issue. So the important thing is to kind of test out and make sure that everything's actually working as intended. So does anybody know where we want to go to access our client? Our client. Yeah, exactly. This link here is the one that we want to go to. So we can see it says, welcome. Can you guess my favorite number? You sent it 20, and the difference is -6. So what we can see from the code though is that if we go, okay, which one am I even running it in here? I think. If we look at our actual app.py for our client, we can see A is 7 and B is 13, right? So this is exactly what we expect. The sum is 20 and the difference is -6, depending on which rate it is. So if we were to change these numbers and then rebuild it and rerun it, we would expect the numbers on the live site to change. So yeah, basically this is kind of just showing basic, like the basic idea behind the distributed system and how you can kind of communicate between different processes, different actual computers, to perform computations and actually display some sort of result. Okay, so the lives, yep, go ahead.
It's so that, the client,
Huh?
the user would specify like, hey, I want A to be
Uh-huh.
3 or B
Uh-huh.
to be 2. And
Uh-huh.
then the page would load.
Yep.
Quite a different sum and difference based.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely doable. I'm not like super confident in my own ability to do with Python. I know if I was using like a different kind of web framework, it would be pretty straightforward. Like it's just a matter of kind of making that same kind of call here, right? But we just have to make sure we're doing it dynamically.
Class would probably not work because you have to use like some React thing and implement the front end in JavaScript or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the key thing to notice is that like we pretty much wrap our like, remote procedure call inside a function, right? And that's what a procedure call is. It's just like, you call a function, it does something. Except this time it's remote because we're sending, the data to another network. And so if you wanted to like make it change based on user input, you basically like just have a way to get user input from the front end, make this function call and then render it after if you're like displaying.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, is anyone trying to run it and running into any issues beyond that dependency thing? Yep, go ahead. What was that other message? Okay. Yeah. And what was it? Okay. Do you have Python installed? Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's what it is then. Anybody else trying and running into any issues? Ideally, you can run this and understand what's happening. Yeah, Chris? Oh, okay.
It's like, I don't think
That runs on Thanks, well enough.
I just checked my.
Like, how did you create? How did you run this?
I ran this one here and I can see because like, I never got, I didn't copy that. This one. That's fine.
Well, that's okay. So when you run the files,
I just ran this one.
It is.
Yeah, so the class
I got past. I did.
Oh, okay. Go back. Yeah, that's what you're gonna do. Then you're gonna have to rebuild your notebook. So to do that, correct, because the file is static. But it may have taken long to first time doing it. Yeah, try that, and if it's still not working, Yeah.
You're gonna get your best.
My dad's 5'9", my mom's like 5'.
I check out your whole thing. Watch out. Yeah, check out.
It should be like this.
Oh, okay, that's not.
Split it up.
You want me to help someone like help with the issue or what?
Or it's already taken.
Oh, okay, yeah, folks are encountering that. I think okay. Okay, is anyone encountering the report already taken issue? Anymore? Okay. So yeah, then you can help troubleshoot, I guess. Yep.
Once I rebuilt the server, I stopped forgetting about the line.
No. No.
Why am I seeing That's installed glass. I guess that was you got this. I got the access. Servers overloaded challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You wanted to.
Hey, this is not a
Yeah.
You.
And I think it's a lot of things that
Not
they
bad.
have. Yeah. That means you have to fund that.
What do you think with they don't put you up. What's the dog?
I think there's no. Basically,
Yeah,
it's
it's all
like,
everything.
well, on top of the community hall,
The Python installers. Maybe
and
I
it's
didn't.
based that.
I told you.
And it's based on two.
That's not bad.
Yep.
Chris is right.
Yeah.
That's like a joke.
I'm having it.
It's an update.
You just build it, so you have to run. I think it's. Yeah, you.
I'll say that.
You can install it after we call it.
And I think it's all price. I tried not to put it up. Like it's all packages.
Yeah. Go back. Just gonna make sure it's gonna be okay.
Why change it? I got it.
Okay, so this is changed. Go to your document.
It's fire.
That's a brand new. That's a new brand, right? Right.
Wait, I wonder if I used the wrong one here. You can have it.
You could run another terminal in Visual Studio.
This one says portfolio. You have to go to different ports. Yeah, I guess.
So you're trying to find that?
Well, if I try running it again. I can try it.
Yeah, go back to your plan.
Oh, what did you think?
Yeah, that's what right. I recommend you take a look at mine. You can also test the skill group directly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only, it's like, yeah. Yeah, so basically. I ran into him during
Okay, so you did like Mars and then
I don't like, I have no idea.
Yeah, like, why do most of you what? You guys don't have like the, yes, code doesn't stay up.
fucking up all my
Does it go away?
I heard that. I know you heard it wrong.
I hope you did say less competition. Why did you do less competition?
Okay. 7.
So you got all the code here.
15. 7. No, that's not correct.
You know the type of-
You don't. It'll go green if the set row is filled. Point if you want everything. Do that. Make it small. So if it's 3 things, it's still the entire. You do right, the entire. And then 2.
I didn't have home. Oh, you didn't have.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Ah, I didn't. No.
I created like labs innovations. So yeah, I gotta code that. I pretty much like.
You like go to the IP, they give you the terminals, like minus. And like, maybe it says like graphics, like, but I locked in.
Oh, you don't understand. I knew we already did that.
Yeah, this is right. Cause it means you're just. Yes. Yeah.
Oh. The brother didn't have down. Oh, no. Dude. Oh, it's I know. That's what I was like. Yeah, now I go here. Wait. Basically my 5,000 savings. This is for my service. Yeah. Yeah, and I switched the code to so that.
This actually is just overlapping the same.
Dude, I don't know why. Why I like Oh, dude, I don't have that access because I'm not a CS baby. So. Social science. Gender studies. We have to. I grind all that. Gender studies tomorrow. It's assessment on that. 25%. Yeah. So it's like everything. Even your care IDs. Do you want my check? Yeah. Dude, that's your problem. Yeah. That's what you gotta do. You gotta learn first. And I restarted. You could start my environment. Like, really? What about it?
You can't do 5 round change. I felt like this. Oh. You could just take. I tried local. Oh, copy the container ID.
It doesn't work.
See, it might be because I have too much. What you know about this? I have to. I mean, I don't know exactly. Wait, it's
Yes, that's it. If you get this thing, you're all set.
What is that? What's in our
So you guys know, like,
Oh, you. What do you think? Was it? I don't know. Oh, stop. Oh.
no, it actually was. But they have. Yeah. Does you might also install some.
It doesn't matter.
We try some, maybe try like.
Okay, great. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, wait, so these are the. No, no, these are your servers. Well, they're not. Yeah, no,
So like those behaviors.
Well. Yeah.
You should these kids voting. Great.
What is this? Oh, just read. Uses work. No, you already typed, right? I know. So why?
Yeah. Front shape is horizontal, choose to make it. I try to keep that out. Let's use it. So now I have this. And then I'll be on. Good. So it's done.
So we have to change it to 2 places. You do that one and the down.
I didn't solve that. Now you guys know so much about. Wasting my time. No, I'm good. I haven't tried.
You might go back to
Why you think? Wait, you know, small is I think it was a Citadel County. Or something like that. Yes, bro. You got my. Citadel's like the one.
Because you just probably stuff that. Like if we're running trouble, I can also start.
Are you gonna lose your head? Here? Two pots?
Yeah.
I can't. It's spelled like that. If I didn't say acting like he didn't work at Snapchat. What side do we got? Snapchat.